another episode of the I'm Uncomfortable podcast, the podcast for people who want to be okay with being uncomfortable. We're your hosts, Vanessa
and Melissa,
coming to you live again. How exciting.
We're not really coming live.
I mean, it's live to me. You're in person to me.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're usually on Zoom.
Right.
So we're in person in IRL.
We're live to them.
That's true.
Our production crew is in the studio with us today.
They're like, please don't mention us.
Shout out to them. Okay, that's fine. As always, we do start off by sharing what's made us uncomfortable lately. And Melissa, I know you're dying to go first.
Yeah. We're here in real life because we coordinated the studio space and rented the studio space. But
you're being very generous using the word we. It was really you.
Okay,
and
this is part of the uncomfortable part of it all, okay?
Many thanks.
And this is part of the am I being too much topic that we're going to be talking about in just a little bit. But yeah, so in order for us to be in person IRL, we need to rent a studio space. And by we, I mean I rented the studio space. But between all of the coordination with some of the guests that we are excited to have on, and me going to having class and, you know, me doing my job search, you know, some numbers and dates and times get jumbled in my mind. So, you know, we're filming on a Saturday, but we are supposed to shoot on a Sunday. Yeah. So Melissa made a boo-boo.
That's okay.
And that's okay. But it's not okay when it's my fault. Boo-boos are okay. Mistakes are okay.
Okay, but I feel like if it was me who made the boo-boo, I would feel the same way, and then you would also be like, it's okay.
When I called Vanessa and when we talked through some of our alternative options, when she said, it's okay, I would feel the same way that you're feeling. You're being hard on yourself.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. It's going to work out. And I was like, is it? It did. Obviously, we're in person.
Right. You just had to cry about it first.
I cried about it afterwards because I kept it together because I spent the rest of the day, once I discovered I was going to send out, being the organized person that I am, I was like, all right, going to text producer Liz and be like, I'm going to send an email with like a run of show.
Detailed run of show.
Yeah, and that's just how my, like, in order for me to take all the jumble in my brain, that's how I make tables and documents and lists and things like that. So I keep organized. And so when I was going to send out my reminder emails and all that stuff, I looked at the booking that I did and I was like, wait, why does it say Saturday instead of Sunday? Vanessa flies in on Saturday. Like, we can't record. And then the whole day, I spent the whole day. I found that in the morning and I spent the whole day stressing about it. I even went on a long, nice walk with my mom, and actually I told her about it and she was talking to me about it, and I at first was being defensive and like, you wouldn't, blah, but then like,
you wouldn't understand, Mom.
You wouldn't understand, Mom.
Our moms are probably like, we understand.
She's like, I understand, like, things being not working out. I don't film podcasts, but I'm pretty sure I understand.
She's like, things too have not worked out for me in my life.
You know, but again, you know, it was nice to talk to her about it, nice to talk to you about it, and also like a reminder that things work out and it's fine. Yes, it's okay to make mistakes. Because I know that logically.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I think this worked out better.
Yeah, it was funny because I talked to you about it, and we're like, okay, these are the like top options for us, the alternatives. I'm like, okay, this helped me kind of like, you know, come to the solution. Yeah. And then I hopped on the phone with audio engineer Chris and was like, you know, here are the other options. And then
he goes, have you considered this?
Yeah, and it was a whole new thing. And I was like, oh,
that's a good idea too.
That's a good idea too. And now it's like option C in the mix now.
We're solutions oriented as a team. Yeah, we are. Okay, is that what made you feel like you were being too much?
No, maybe in parts of it, but I think the main uncomfortable part and the realization part and the intervention part was being told that it's okay to, you know,
make mistakes.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you for coordinating this. My uncomfortable moment is the inverse of that, because you did all this work to make sure that we could have like a studio space, and and then you sent out this beautiful list of things that we were supposed to do, and like this whole like table of what you and sound engineer Chris were bringing.
Yeah.
And I was like, my name's not anywhere on this doc. Like, am I not doing enough? Like, so then I just added, it was a joke. I added like Riz.
At the bottom of the supply list.
Yeah, at the bottom of the supply list, I was like, I'll supply some,
the Riz.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm not bringing anything. I'm not.
You're bringing literally yourself. You traveled on a plane that you had to pay a ticket for.
That's true.
And get on.
And almost didn't make it.
And almost didn't.
You know, you would think that would be my uncomfortable moment, but I think it's so normal for me now to like almost miss my flights.
It stresses me out.
You and producer Liz are both stressed out right now. I was stressed too after I got through.
I don't think you were though.
I was. I didn't text you about it because I didn't want to stress you out.
Thank God. I just saw it posted on the Instagram and I was like, I'll repost this.
Normally, San Jose Airport security takes like 10 minutes, easy peasy. Like you breeze on through.
The luxury.
Yes. Today I got there and I was like, ew, there's like hella people. Like we have to use the actual
Very
windy
NorCal,
line.
Hella people.
Yeah. And I was like, where is everyone going? It's a Saturday morning. I don't understand. And so I was like, I might miss my flight.
I can't believe you said minutes to spare.
6.
6 minutes to spare.
Maybe 5. Because they made the announcement that there were 6 minutes left until gate closing when I got through security. Mm-hmm. And so I just like walked really quickly. You know, the hustle of shame.
Yeah.
And then they were like, you made it. And I was like, yep, I sure did. And I still got exit row by the window.
Extra
with a space for my bag.
Nice.
Lucky
Wait,
girl.
you didn't check your bag?
No.
Oh,
Wow. If I checked my bag, I wouldn't be here. Because the line to check bags was hella long. I was like, fuck that. So I was like, I'm just going to take it. And it worked out. Everything's fine. I'm here.
So your uncomfortable moment was?
That I feel like you didn't do enough.
Oh, no, you did enough. By being here.
I got here.
Yeah, you got here in one piece, yeah.
Okay, well, Melissa brought this topic up about this idea of being too much. So, Melissa, I'd love to hear from you.
I remember I was trying to, before we hit record, I was trying to remember the moment when me and Vanessa were talking about episode ideas and why I brought this particular episode up.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we do plan episodes in advance. But
we plan things.
We plan things. Yeah. You know, we're organized. And I think I remember it came from an incident that I had. An incident? That sounds so severe.
An incident.
A situation in my class because I'm in a project management certification class right now, and we were organized into groups, and we do our group projects together for the duration of the courses, like the classes.
Okay.
So we have the same group for each class,
yeah.
And so we work on a project that lasts throughout the whole certification process. And so I remember we had just been formed into the group.
First of all, the fact that you're doing group projects at 32.
I know. I know. I was like, oh, it's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
It's freaking a lot of work. And never mind. That's a whole different story.
Okay.
But, yeah, we were first formed into this group. And then I just remember, because I'm me, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna I'll make the group text. I'll start the group Google Doc to share with everyone. I'll put the template in there so that when we decide to meet, it's all organized. Mm-hmm. I was texting the group or messaging the group. I was like, text me or send me on Zoom. I was like, send me your phone numbers and things so we can start the chat and get this going and stuff. And then when we met in our little breakout rooms during the class to talk about our project or talk about the assignment,
yeah,
I was kind of the go-getter and trying to take the lead.
Were you organizing everyone?
Yeah. And so then in that moment I was like, okay, cool, I'm in my head, I'm like, this is going to be efficient so that when we finally meet, mm-hmm. we can just get to it, right? And not waste any time dilly-dallying.
Yeah.
You know? And then I always have this thing where I have an interaction such as that one. Mm-hmm. It could be in that situation or even with friends or with family members or whatever, strangers even. And then I think back later that day. I'm like, oh, was that too much? Was I doing too much then?
Okay.
Did I need to say that or take the lead on that? Did I need to
I guess not always.
Not always.
I don't know if that means you're being too much. I guess you don't always have to take the lead.
Yeah, sometimes I'd be volunteering for stuff, and then later I'm like, oh.
I know.
But that was what essentially, was the incident, the situation
for this.
Yeah,
okay.
for this conversation.
Okay.
And it got me thinking about what other situations, or where does that feeling even come from, of wanting to, or not wanting to, or feeling that you may be doing too much or being too much. I'm like, where did I learn that? But I know where I learned that.
Well, I want to tag in producer Liz, because she had 2 ways, right, of like feeling like you were too much. What are the 2 ways?
I feel like there is 2 ways.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could better describe it as like a cycle for me.
Okay.
Where I guess at work I'm kind of like you, Melissa, where I take the lead. I'm always like kind of like the go-getter, like let's do this.
Yeah.
But I know sometimes when I work with male counterparts, they don't like that.
Yeah.
Or when I correct them, even when I gently correct them.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you even have to
Gently correct?
think to gently correct.
Yes.
Fragile.
But they don't do that with me.
No, of course not.
And when I let them know, like, that could have been handled better, right?
Yeah.
So I've been told, like, you're too much. Like, you gotta bring him back.
I can't believe they've told you that.
And I've been told by, I think, boomer women as well. They're like, you're doing too much. When you come to his office, come with a smile.
Not a smile.
Oh my God.
Not the
All of
smile.
our episodes just bridge together.
Come with a smile. Like, you're here to work. Just be quiet. Don't talk. And I'm just like, no. If I have an opinion, I'm going to say it. And if I think something works out better, like,
or would make it more efficient.
efficient.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't like that. I feel like the older generation doesn't want to hear your ideas because they want to follow what they have. And some men in my office don't like that either. And I know they don't like me for that. So I know that could also compare that to like being raised by like in a Mexican household and being raised in the Roman Catholic Church.
Oh,
like, there's a certain way to
That was layered.
Yes,
That was
there's
layered.
layers, and I know I am also a middle child, another layer. So I'm very headstrong with my opinion, and I will sometimes not back down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, like I'm trying to explain this to you, or like I'm trying to help you with efficient ways. And then my dad is very old school. It's like, I don't want to hear it. You're doing too much. My mom was trying to like, why do you always have to do this, Elizabeth? And I'm just like, oh, okay, am I doing too much? So I will go into this cycle where I'm like, start thinking like, let me be self-aware now. Is this too much?
Yeah.
And then I fall into this pattern where Vanessa's like, Elizabeth, what do you want? I'm like, nothing. I'm fine.
And you overcorrect.
And I overcorrect.
Yeah.
And then I will do that for a long time until I blow up, and then I start my cycle. Like, I'm gonna start standing up for myself again. And it's happening right now with work. and I'm just like standing up for myself. And I think the coworker I called out for a few things last week.
Yeah.
He's been called out by my other 2 coworkers.
But when it's
He
you
doesn't
calling
like
them
us.
out.
I don't think he likes us
Yeah,
right
it
now.
doesn't like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting that that you describe it as a cycle. I think it's very true because there's the trigger or the thing that is the constant that then triggers these like set of behaviors that you're used to.
I do want to name though that I love. Liz has been telling me lately about this idea of like I don't always have to like be the fixer. Visceral reaction from both of you. And I get it. I do. So it's like I don't always have to jump in. I don't always have to fix things. I don't always have to lead and organize everything. Like those things are true.
Thank you. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you don't. We don't always have to do the thing.
But you know why we do that? Because we talk about this all the time. We like a sense
We're over functioning. Jillian, hey girl, always my therapist, she would say that we are over functioning for others who may be under functioning. And she talks about sibling order all the time. She also talks about like dynamics of sibling, like gender, right? Like if, like which sibling kind of takes on the ownership of. And then if you feel like people are under functioning in your family, what is the role that you play in that, and having to kind of pick up the slack. And it's like she's also coached me on, you don't always have to overfunction for other people. And it's hard because that's
Thanks,
the same
Jillian,
thing.
for giving me this free therapy session through Vanessa, because
everyone's welcome. I pay for a reason. Oh my God, wait, side note. She was like, oh, so payments due, it's going to be like $400. And I was like, what? And she was like, oh, wait, no, sorry. That's it. You're on a different payment plan. I was like, yeah, I'm like in the OG payment plan from 7 years ago. I've been grandfathered into the original rate, okay? I was here pre-COVID.
Oh, because everyone's in therapy now because of COVID.
I was here before the pandemic. I'm paying pre-pandemic prices, girl, okay? Like, don't get it twisted.
Don't put inflation on me.
Right. No, but she shares about overfunctioning. And because for me, it came up in terms of speaking up for other people. So kind of same thing, like if I don't think something's right, saying something about it and then feeling like, and I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but like feeling like it wasn't appreciated. So I will stick up for that person or say something on their behalf. And then it's like they don't say it themselves and then I look like the bitch. Like I'm the one that said something.
I did that recently. It was like not even like a serious thing. It was just like in a family group chat with a couple of my cousins and like my aunt and uncle or whatever. And like I think it was, I forget even what we were talking about, but I like stood up for my brother, and then my brother's like, actually, like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, hello, I just stood up for you, and like, you're just.
Okay. I think that's the tension though. It's like, when is it you sticking up for somebody, or like, I don't know, like how to, like you sticking up for what you think is right versus taking away the other person's ability to kind of speak up for themselves. And so I sometimes now, actually most of the time now, have kind of adopted the thing where it's like, if it affects me directly, and it's impacting my peace and my sanity, and it's going against my own like belief or whatever, I will say something. But if, you know, Joe Schmo over here is not getting what they need and they won't speak up about it, I'll gladly listen to you. But until you feel comfortable saying something, I'm not going to speak on your behalf. And funnily enough, Evelyn has been telling me this for years. Yeah, it's one of those moments where I was like, oh, Mom, you were right. Like, I get it. She loves to hear me say it, and I know I'm going to say it more and more the older I get, probably.
And I'm pretty sure she said that, watch, one day you'll understand.
She didn't. She never says that.
Oh.
She never tells me I'll understand one day. She just expects me to understand today. Oh.
Well, never mind. That's just my mom.
Well, I guess, you know, Jillian overphrased it as, like, overfunctioning and, like, what that, logically the thought process behind that, so that's why it was more sticky for me.
Yeah, that the overfunctioning also to establish some sort of sense of control of the situation, too.
We do like control. Yeah, and that's it, too, was being comfortable with the discomfort of not having full control.
Right. And I want to speak on some of the things that producer Liz also said about the culture aspect of it.
No, because that's important. That is effective.
Yeah. As a Filipino American first generation Roman Catholic.
Not the Roman Catholic.
Roman Catholic.
Not even just Catholic.
Specifically. And just like growing up in a Filipino type of household where, you know, you just are taught to respect authority figures. Yeah. You know, the elders in your family.
Filipino culture and Mexican culture are very similar in that aspect. Asian culture in general and
we cousins. Yeah. We cousins. But I really resonated with a lot of what you were saying, because I feel like the origin of these feelings, because, you know, when I catch myself in these situations where I'm thinking about, am I being too much? I'm like, where did that come from? It was a taught behavior from when I, like, growing up in this type of household where I'm going to say me in this case, because I don't know your specific situation, but I just remember in times just being told to keep my mouth shut in certain situations, to not ruffle feathers for certain people of the family, because it's just easier that way. Just keep your mouth shut so that you can just take the path, you know, the easiest path out and through this situation versus dealing with the problem. Right. And that has taught me to just, you know, minimize myself. So in those times where I am standing up for myself, where I am saying something, that's when I have that like filter that comes up in my brain that's like, oh, well, are you doing too much here? Like, are you being like, you didn't need to like do that or say that or stand up for that. Like, you don't just keep your mouth shut. It'll be easier that way. So that's kind of a part of the origin of that type of thought cycle.
Yes.
And
I think that's where the discomfort, is. But then I'm wondering.
The conditioning part of it, like the behaviors, that's the origin.
Well, it's also such negative phrasing. Am I being too much? And maybe the question needs to be, was that helpful? So, me sticking up for this person, or me inserting myself, or me trying to fix this or organize this thing, was that helpful? Or was it necessary?
Yeah.
Which you said, did I need to?
Did I need to do that?
Because maybe the answer is yes sometimes, and so in those cases you weren't being too much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just referencing some notes here, and I highlighted a couple of things that kind of are speaking to what you're saying. It's like, what does it really mean to be too much? Mm-hmm. So I guess it's obviously situation to situation.
Yeah.
And maybe, like you said, maybe sometimes we really don't need to be the one to be the fixer or the problem solver. But I guess it's all about that awareness and picking and choosing the battles in which you enter. And I think too, I don't know, it seems, I mean, there's 3 women in this room, but like, I don't know if this is like a common woman experience. Maybe. Should
we ask the male? Should we ask our video and sound engineer?
I don't know.
Do you feel this way?
What way?
Like you're ever being too much. Like, do you question that? Does that thought come into your brain ever?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, well, not cool, I guess.
Cool, we are all suffering together.
We love being uncomfortable together. But what is it? When does it come up for you?
Just constantly thinking if I'm doing anything right, and if it's like, if what, like sitting here,
being in
with all the equipment.
Okay, first of all, he's in charge of like 5,000 cameras and sound equipment right now. So like,
kudos.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's more of like.
Is it enough? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Interesting.
The opposite. Because men are just so sensitive and fragile, and they don't think that they're enough. You know what I'm saying? And then women, when we actually stand up for ourselves, we think we're being conditioned to say that that's too much.
Yeah.
That we should sit down.
We haven't come up with a nickname for mine.
Mine. For yours.
But I've heard this same sentiment from him, and it's the opposite. Is it enough? And the worry always is it going to be enough? And I'm like, whoa. I think in ours is it too much?
Damn.
There's something profound there between those lines.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
A whole other episode.
I know. I was going to say, whole other episode,
Great.
whole other idea.
We'll invite the men next time. The uncomfortable men sit down to discuss. But I don't necessarily have a here's how to be more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Other than to reflect and to talk to people about it that you trust. Talk to your therapist if you got one.
Or Vanessa will just continue to share what she learns from Jillian, and we'll all get therapy
hopefully that
for free.
was helpful to all of you listening.
But I think too, I think the reason I brought up, maybe this is a shared like woman experience, because I feel like at least between me and Vanessa, we always go to each other and we're like, am I being crazy? Was I crazy?
Was I crazy?
Like the phrasing again is like so negative.
Can you tell me if I'm being crazy?
Yeah, can you? I mean, sometimes maybe we are, but a lot of the times we're not. Like it's just that there's this underlying like, I guess conditioning that is there. And I think I feel like we say this all the time for a lot of the topics that we talk about, but it really is finding that community and talking to others to know that you aren't crazy. Yeah. You aren't being too much. Yeah. It's okay to have strong women around you and be one. Like, I think
it's also nice to have that sounding board, because sometimes maybe I am overreacting and I just need to calm down a little bit, have some time pass, and then address a situation, and that's fair.
Adjust the path. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you do what works for you, but if you want to vent to us, we're here. Melissa's going to share exactly how you can contact us with your am I too much queries.
Yeah, so you can DM us, follow us on imuncomfortable.podcast. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I think Google, anywhere you get your podcast, really. We are also now on YouTube. We're starting to post more on TikTok. So you should follow us. Join our community. Because we're just uncomfortable all the time. So
even now.
If you want to just share your uncomfortable moments in the DMs, that's fine too. One of us will read it.
Internationally will help us sort through your messages. She's wonderful. Okay.
Oh yeah, internationally.
And we'll have new episodes coming soon.
Yes, every week. So tune in. Bye.